by the look of it. He dropped not only the Baravia, but also the hammer. Here's a look at the Spin Master Superman movie, Epic Strike Hammer. Unleash the excitement of the Superman movie with the 6-inch Superheroes action figure series. Standing 6 inches tall, these figures are crafted with authentic Superman movie styling, making them perfect for fans who love dynamic action and imaginative play. Each figure includes 2 iconic accessories to power up battles and bring heroic adventures to life. Guessing maybe the reason why they chose to leave Baravia off the packaging was maybe they thought that kids couldn't understand that word. Still, though, we're going to be having a look at the hammer and making that joke about it at the beginning of this review and how they dropped that name. Reminds me of the time that MC Hammer made it public that he was going to be dropping officially MC at the front of his name, MC Hammer. The joke that went with that, though, was at least he dropped the MC. He didn't drop the hammer. I wouldn't say that hilarity really ensued. We didn't really have much in the way of the internet back then anyways. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to take the tape measure. That whole intro was really long-winded. And what we're going to do, though, instead is measure off the top of the hammer's head. The figure is going to stand at about 5 3/4 of an inch in height, making out a figure that's 14 centimeters tall. So think of these figures as Spin Master's subline to their main Superman one, where all the figures have features. The 4 figures that have the features advertised on the back of the packaging are Superman, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, a hammer, and Mr. Terrific. Truth be told, though, the only one I was really all that interested in was getting a hammer, just because up to this point, we have Superman figures to build a Superman robot, but we don't have a hammer Baravia, so I did want to get this one at least. The sizing I wouldn't say is necessarily in line. I mean, there is technically a larger version of the hammer, but I think then he's way too big. I want to get one at least that's of the same size. I'm going to bring in the rest of the Superman figures. Now, this is the one here I think is the better looking Superman. This was the one that was paired along with the giant kaiju with the slime, bringing also in already the Guy Gardner from the Build a Superman robot and Mr. Terrific. Hammer's accessories, ironically enough, are not hammers at all. The figure does come included with a pair of axes. I say pair, and I'd probably be safe to say that they're also an identical pair. They look like they're exactly the same. It would have also been fun if they had found a way to maybe attach the two, so that, you know, you could have yourself a big giant spinning bladed weapon. But no, they're only coming separately like this. He does have at least gripping hands, so he can hold both his axes at the exact same time. Though because he's so gimmick heavy, one arm is always going to be very loose and floppy. The other one is actually going to be the one that you can pose and do whatever you want really with it. But let's go ahead and pick up the hammer. We're going to grab, of course, both axes, and we're just attach them into his hands. Now it's on one side, and we'll do the same on this side as well. Now, displaying this guy with at least something in his hands takes away from the fact that you really can't do all that much with the figure. A lot of it is really gimmick heavy by the fact that you're going to be squeezing his legs together, and he's going to be swinging his torso, and he's going to be moving specifically this arm here. Because of that, this arm doesn't do anything at all. This is at least the arm you can go in there, you can move it around, it does have some elbow bends, all that fun stuff. Before we show the gimmick, let's actually look at the head sculpt here. From what I understand, at least, the Hammer Baravia is a made-up movie character. He exists only in James Gunn's world of Superman. It'd be kind of interesting to see that he has the flight, he has invulnerability, and he has a heat ray blast. In fact, we see it at the beginning of the trailer. By now, I'm sure if you guys have already seen the Superman movie, I'm planning to see it on Friday. You probably would already know a lot more about the Hammer Baravia than I do at this moment as we're shooting this review. The figure does have some really nice gold accents to it. I don't know, looking at this, it reminds me a lot like a Cylon. I'm almost even expecting this thing to have like a little scanner that goes back and forth, similar to Kit. Has a nice little star that's decoed on the front. Some nice gold accents, though, all across the front of his body, and somewhat, though, on the back. Unfortunately, though, on the back is really where you see the figure loses some of its appeal, just by the fact that you have to see these visible screw holes that are on the back. This allows the front and the back, how many times have I now said back, to be sandwiched together. He also has these little posts. These are actually these little rods here, are the thing that keeps the legs together. When you squeeze the legs, you're basically going to be swinging the waist around, and you're going to be moving around his arms. So again, well, unfortunately, it does mean that the figure looks very bow-legged on the front. He's always going to have this stance. You can't even really move the legs around either. He has no articulation at all in the knees. What he's literally doing is the thing he's going to continue to do on your shelf. The only little bit of posability that is possessed by the Hammer is this one arm. That's it. soak up as much as you can from what this one arm is able to do. The arm at least can hinge out. You can rotate it all the way around. He has at least an elbow bend, and you really can only really rotate it back and forth just a little bit. It's funny, though, that it rotates this way, but then when you try to turn it this way, it doesn't go any further. I'm wondering, though, if it gets hung up. And I think it's right here. This lip of plastic caused by the forearm guard runs against the top of the shoulder, and it's really impossible to turn his arm. However, though, you can turn it all the way this way. Well, somewhat. It gets only so far. So at least, like, while he does have some posability, a lot of it, again, is so heavily gimmicked. To operate the gimmick, by the way, it's just a case of squeezing the legs together. You're basically doing like you're working out. Remember those workouts, what were they, like little clamps that you had in the 80s? Do they still sell those? I had actually a pair as a kid. My hope, though, with using them as a kid, I was going to just amass these massive forearms. That didn't really end up happening. But all you're really going to do, though, is you're going to take the legs, you're going to squeeze them together. And when you squeeze them together, he turns his waist, as you can very visibly see, and he lifts up his arm. I don't think really that the gimmick changes much at all when you get the other three figures, I guess, because, again, it's 4 advertised on the back of the packaging. Superman, Guy Gardner, and Mr. Terrific, I would imagine, all do the same. Saying that, though, with unfortunately unable to find any of these things in the stores, I've only been able to see any advertisements of these figures online. But I would think, though, that the gimmick would pretty much work the same. Either you'd squeeze the legs and you would do something up top, or you'd squeeze maybe the arms and would do something down below. It's very similar, really, to Superpowers figures, and all of them really have, then, a power-up feature. Superman, I think, had, like, energy things that would attach onto his forearms. Guy Gardner clearly would have had something like a green construct from his lantern, and then Mr. Terrific actually had himself the orbs. It's the only figure so far that we've gotten from the Superman line, whether it be Spin Master or whether it be McFarlane Toys, that have actually had a Mr. Terrific with orbs. But for what it is, I mean, it's a very simple enough toy. In the end, I don't mind at all that it has a gimmick, because every once in a while it's nice to have these things on the shelf, walk over, pick up the figure, work out arm day that day. But at least, though, when it comes to displaying this guy on the shelf, he is shorter, though, than I really would have wanted him to be. Ideally, though, I really would have wanted a much taller Hammer Baravia, but the only other figure that I think I've been able to see online from Spin Master is one where the figure's a lot taller. I mean, probably like double the height of Superman. I think that's way too big. No, for a figure size, at least of this scale, the Hammer of Baravia, or sorry, Epic Strike Hammer, because we have to drop the Baravia altogether, I think is a good enough sized figure if you're looking to scale your Superman figures somewhat of the same size when you're having them displayed on your shelf. About $5 is the difference between these Epic figures and the ones we've already had a look at that came with Build a Superman robot pieces. For at least the $5 difference, and how that works out, though, is the regular standard figures are selling for $14.99. The Epic Hammer, for example, was selling on Amazon for $19.99. You do a little bit of rounding up, that's about a $5 difference. The $5 difference does at least grant you a gimmick. Now, I have to, again, look at this line and know that it's clearly geared towards kids. When McFarlane's doing all the stuff with the DC Multiverse, his mindset is the adult collector. Spin Master's clearly focusing this line towards the kids. So again, they're going to be a little more simpler in design, and having then gimmicks are things that kids love to play with. I mean, I have to admit, though, in between takes, I didn't mind at all squeezing the legs of Hammer and watching his torso spin about. Remind me of the days of the Superpowers figures. One arm does have some functioning mobility. It's only really one of the arms. At least you can hinge it out. You can also bend the elbow. The other elbow and the other arm that goes with it is really just a floppy mess. So tied heavily to the gimmick, but at least the figure is well painted. The only thing that looks a little standout is on the back of the figure's body. There's very visible screws that have to be there, I guess, and there's also the posts that keep the legs together. The legs are always going to be in a wide stance, but I think for the size, if you are already collecting the Build a Superman robot way from Spin Master, I think that this is a pretty good Hammer Baravia that's going to go with that. It's funny, though, that Spin Master is still ahead of McFarlane Toys when it comes to the characters that they're releasing for their figures. When you look at already the Engineer, Guy Gardner, at the time of doing this review, we don't have either of those. We don't also have a Hammer Baravia. I would have thought the smart move on McFarlane's part would have been to release a Build-A-Figure Hammer Baravia set. I know there's not many characters left still to do for the Superman movie, but then that could be an opportunity to throw in your Lois Lanes, throw in a variation of Lex Luthor, throw in a Clark Kent. Then with each of those figures, you could have a Build-A-Figure piece to build the Hammer of Baravia. Whether Baravia is on the packaging or not, it's a fun-looking figure. What do you guys think of the Epic Strike Hammer? Well worth picking up, or do you feel like it's a bit of a pass? Obviously, when you look at a figure line like this, you really have to go in it looking like a kid would. Lots of fun. I figure you can pick up and you play on the playground leading up to the epic unveiling of Superman this Friday. In fact, I actually have my pre-ordered tickets ready for Superman. I'm going to be seeing it very early on Friday morning. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to take my daughter to it. I know I'm still a big fan of Christopher Reeve, and something obviously to be said about Henry Cavill's performance of Superman, but I do like the way that this is going to be a little bit more of a family-friendly Superman. A kinder Superman. And it's not a bad thing at all. We'll always really still have the Christopher Reeves. We can always go back and watch the Cavill Superman movies. I feel like there's always going to be a time where movies have to change, and they also have to change towards the demographics. The new Superman movie that we're getting from James Gunn may look a little campier. Superman seems to be beaten up all the time, but at least it's a movie that I can take my kid to. What do you guys, though, think? Are you guys super excited for the new Superman movie? Let me know down below in the comments section. If you guys, by the way, did enjoy this video, you can do it a solid yes and throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. Hit that subscribe, turn on that bell, and certainly stay tuned because there's going to be more Superman reviews coming your way. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.